Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Brazilian-born jazz pianist, producer, arranger, and educator Antonio Adolfo. We caught up with him in early 2022 about his new 2021 CD, Jobim Forever, along with living in the COVID world and his long road in music. He grew up in a musical family in Rio de Janeiro and began his studies at the age of 7. By 17, he was already a professional. Along with his own music, he has been teaching music throughout the world and has written several books. Enjoy his story.
Antonio, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Jobim Forever, wonderful album. It's obvious that you've kind of mastered what he presented to the world. Talk to me a little bit about what it's like to cover Jobim and what this album means to you.
It's a real challenge to cover Jobim because Jobim has been recorded by almost every musician. He was like a legend. I think I was very happy with this work because I concentrated on his work of the 60s when I first got in touch with his music by listening to the radio. I was a young guy at that moment and starting to study music. I don't know why, but I concentrate on those songs from the 60s. So beautiful songs like the ones I recorded. And then I am a composer, I'm also an arranger, so I thought I could do something different. And then I did the way I felt. Maybe sometimes change the harmony, change the metrics of the songs, like of the partnership. But that's a big challenge, talking about Jobim, playing Jobim music in that way. But I think I was very happy because I was counting on great musicians, great engineers as well, and so everything went fine.
You know, at this time with COVID going on and everything and its uncertainty as we live right now, this is probably pretty welcome music, pretty happy music to put out into the world.
Oh, that's some interesting point that you just mentioned. That's something I've been thinking about these days. I think people need something light, something happy, something with that feeling that we had during the 60s in Brazil when Bossa Nova came up to the scene. So I think you mentioned a very important point. I agree totally.
During this time of COVID, there's been a lot of self-reflection. You know, we've been quarantined and locked down. What have you learned about yourself that maybe you didn't realize that will make you stronger as we hopefully get on the stage more in 2022?
Yes, to be away from the stage is something very painful. I am also a studio guy. I love recording, and then in the studio you can have those distance that we need because we communicate through the music, not through the proximity of each other musician, physical proximity. I mean, I think that was perfect, but that time I did some other recordings for other artists during that time of those 2 years that we've been living with COVID. That's something that makes you feel good. Music helps a lot. No, you have to say that music helps a lot, and playing music still more.
I agree. So you grew up in Rio de Janeiro. Talk to me a little bit about your upbringing and kind of how not only music but jazz became your life.
Yeah, my mother was a violinist from the symphony orchestra in Rio de Janeiro. So since I was a baby, I was surrounded by music from every side, and then I always listened to music not just through my mother's colleagues, also through the radio. I always loved to listen to radio at that time. And then I think was a good moment in Brazil. We could listen music from everywhere. And the first time I listened to jazz, that I was very impressed. I remember the first musician I listened as a jazz player was a great pianist, Errol Garner. I still remember that moment. And then I got in love with jazz through Oscar Peterson, through Bill Evans, all these musicians. And when I was 16 years old, I started playing in the clubs, in the jam sessions, and jazz made my mind, I'm sure. And bossa nova came in the right moment also, because bossa nova had lots of jazz influence and also influenced jazz. So I think that was a privilege to have grown at that moment.
Talk to me a little bit about the very first jazz show you ever saw that really made you think, wow, I'd love to do that sometime.
Oh, at that moment, TV was starting. The first show I saw in person was in Rio de Janeiro at the Municipal Theater of Rio with the Modern Jazz Quartet. I still remember that made me, I was very impressed with Bill Jackson on the vibes, and I don't remember all names of the participants right now, but I was very, very impressed. That was the first jazz concert I saw. But then at that same moment, many jazz musicians used to come to Rio, and after the concerts, they used to go to the Bottles Alley, which was like a series of clubs together, next door to each other. And these guys like Horace Silver and other guys that used to go there, and I always wanted to watch them play, and that made my mind totally.
And you've had a lot of musical influences, actually I should say, you shared the stage and you performed with a lot of people from Sergio Mendes to Stevie Wonder, Herb Alpert. And as an educator, what did you learn from these kind of legendary figures that you in turn have used to teach the younger players that you're around?
Yes, teaching is one of my passions, and I have learned a lot from the students. I have learned a lot from the jazz musicians and the bossa nova musicians. I have to say that I was very proud to have my music recorded by guys like Sergio Mendes, Stevie Wonder, and Herb Alpert, Earl Klug, and Johnny Warwick. That is something that made me, I am into that more than ever. All that combination of teaching and playing and composing and writing arrangements, all that is Antonio Adolfo into there.
So I know you started early studying music and playing early on, but were there any other dreams, or were you always destined to be in music?
At that moment when I was 17, I had to make the decision. What about which type of professional career I wanted to choose? But music has total made my mind. So I studied law. Something that it's important is today now, because I like it, law. I like it. Today we have to deal with copyright. We have to deal with contracts, and normally I am the one who reads my contracts and deal with copyrights, all of these things. That actually I learned this not much into the university, but with life now, in the needs of understanding my contract, but something that I like too. But of course, my heart is into music completely.
Talk to me a little bit about how you're doing right now with what's going on with this new surge with COVID and being away from live music. How are you surviving in this COVID world?
Yes, I just came from Rio de Janeiro. I was there for 4 months, and I had the chance to do my first performance in a live concert on September 25th. It was open stage, it was an open air stage, in the Botanical Garden. I was very, very, very happy to do that. And recently I did another concert with orchestra, the Atlantic Orchestra, which I did an album with them a couple of years ago. That's something very strong when you have the audience in front of you and then you communicate. There's nothing compared to that, I have to tell you. To play to an audience that is paying attention to you, and then you have the feedback from them, and then you send to them your energy, that's like a factory of energy. That nothing is compared to that. Of course, I love recording. I'm a studio guy, as I told earlier here. But I love to perform to a live audience. And we had these two experiences recently. But I am a little bit disappointed now because many concerts are being canceled at this moment. And I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Maybe are you going to go again into that panic moment that you're not able to play live? That's something I'm sure that not only me, but many musicians are concerned about, are preoccupied about that.
Talk to me a little bit about what you really like to teach your students. You talked about your passion for teaching. And with all of the experience that you've gained over the years, what do you like to give to your students?
I wrote 7 books already. 2 books totally specialized on Brazilian music, which is my passion, and some books for harmony and how to play the piano. Piano is my main instrument. I love to teach, and my passion in teaching, I think, is Brazilian music phrasing. That's something that I am very passionate. I am very into that. Each day I discover more on how to phrase in Brazilian music, and I am grateful to the opportunity to have taught my students about that and learn from that, because that's a very, very interesting thing, how to phrase not only Brazilian music. In my case, I'm specialized in Brazilian music. The accents, how you can accent, why do you accent in some notes and not in the other ones? Why do you go some notes and etc. And the harmony also is something that I'm very passionate. That maybe phrasing and harmony are my biggest passions.
You have the chance to create music and be a professional musician, and what is the greatest part of this for you? What do you look forward to every day with what you get to do with your profession?
I love to sit on the piano, in front of the piano, and start playing freely. And then the ideas come, and then I can either write a new composition, or write a new arrangement, or have new ideas. That's what I like the most to do every day, every morning. I like to do that in the morning. I think I get more inspiration. I think my mind is more fresh in the morning, and then I love to do that.
And, you've really kind of dedicated your life to the jazz craft. Why do you love jazz?
That's something we cannot explain, because it's like, why did you get in love with someone, or something that you cannot explain. But I think the fact of in jazz, do improvise over a cycle of measures and harmonies. That's something very grateful. Maybe that's one of the reasons I like jazz, and the harmonies, the rhythm, and the energy, that the interaction between musicians, that's something very, very strong that you cannot deny. That's one of the reasons I might have got in love with jazz.
Of all of the musicians that are alive today, is there a show that you would like to see? Is there a musician that you would love to see live that you haven't seen live?
Oh, there are lots of musicians. Oh, I have seen many of my idols playing, like Chicoria, like Herbie, these guys, Pat Metheny, lots of them I have watched, also Gil Evans. I had the chance to watch him with the orchestra, and Schneider, his student, Maria Schneider. I don't know which one I would love to see at this moment playing live. Keith Jarrett, I have the chance to watch Keith Jarrett also. I don't know now. There are some pianists that Brad Meldau, I would like to watch him playing live. Who else? Bill Evans, I had the chance to watch Bill Evans, one of my idols also. There are great new musicians. Of course, I would love to watch them playing live.
Let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger self around the time that you were becoming a professional, and you could give your younger self a piece of advice. What would that piece of advice be?
Passion is the key word. I think if you don't have passion, you don't go step, so you cannot go if you don't have a passion. Passion generates dedication, and dedication generates your expression. I think it's like that. I feel like that.
Wonderful. So let's say you come to Kansas City and put on a live show. What could the audience expect?
They can expect that I'm going to be Antonio Adolfo with my music and other compositions by other composers, by other musicians. Of course, when they're going to watch me, they're going to listen to me, and they're going to listen to the music translated by my soul, by my musicianship, and sort of like that, something like that. Of course, I would love to play with a large group, large size group, like a octet, 3 horns and rhythm section. I can play also piano solo. I love to play piano solo. Even if it's not a concert of piano solo, I like to do some solos in the middle of the show, of the concert. That's like that, no?
So you had the chance to perform live, as you mentioned, and you got to kind of feel what that's like to be back. But when we do kind of return more to live music in 2022, what do you hope both the musician and the audience realizes about the true power of live music?
Oh, I think people, these 2 years of being away from live concerts, live performance, will make both sides grow. I felt that in the concerts I did this year, the end of the year, recently. I think I think the audiences are much more, when people miss something, and so they get that thing in front of them, they get more enthusiastic and get more expansive. They get more into that, and they express themselves more naturally, and that's great. And the same on the other side, on the stage is the same, because we musicians, we get very enthusiastic, very excited by that moment, and so I think that's what we will have, what we are already having. That energy is like more strong at this moment, because it's something that we missed for 2 years. You can imagine that after 2 years without having that, how people are, how both sides, on the stage and the audience.
So everyone has a perception or an idea of you, your family, your friends, your fans, your students, but ultimately you lived your life, you have an idea of who you are. Who do you think you are?
I am a married guy. I have my family. I have my 2 daughters. They both sing music, 2 singers, and the daughters. And I have 2 granddaughters. They also love to sing. And we have a music school. We work together at the music school. That makes me very happy. We work in family, with the family. And I am a passionate musician. I love to do what I do. I think music saved my life, I can tell you. I don't know what I would be if I was not. Maybe I told about I was studying law, but without music, I don't know what I would be. So I'm very happy to have music as a companion, as my friend, the biggest friend.
Beautiful. Adolfo, thank you for taking some time out for Neon Jazz today. I really appreciate it. Good luck as we return to life here and music live and all your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure, and I hope to go to Kansas and to see you guys soon.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Brazil, Kansas City, New York City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Antonio for his time, energy, and cool. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.